Welcome to Lessons in Overthinking and Obsessing. I am a psychotherapist. Today I am going to be sharing with you why it's so hard to stop overthinking, whether that is in relationships, at work, or in the things you know you're taking too personally. If you've ever asked the question, why can't I stop overthinking? Today I'm going to answer that question. Plus I'll be sharing what to do and what not to do when it comes to taking control back of your mind, especially for those of you that are doing the work and determined to take the power back and take control back of your mind. Overthinking is one of the most common reasons people seek therapy. You probably know how it feels when you're spiraling. It's relentless, exhausting, and impossible to switch off at times. I've been working in mental health for 15 plus years, and overthinking shows up in different ways for different people. Some of you listening to this will find yourself replaying conversations long after they've ended. Some of you will be imagining every worst case possible scenario. My anxious attachers out there, you'll be having an imagination that sees yourself being left, sees yourself being cheated on. Overthinking for some of you is obsessing over the past, over a person, over a situation, feeling like you need closure, is worrying about situations that have not even happened yet. And as I say, the thing about overthinking is it feels exhausting. That's something that you do have in common. The good news is that overthinking is not a personality trait. This is not just who you are. This isn't something that you are stuck with. This is a pattern, a psychological strategy designed to actually protect you. And actually, sometimes I think that can be reassuring to know our minds are trying to work for us. I know that ultimately, in the end, it feels like it is against us and it feels like it's not helping. And in many ways, I understand that it's not. However, what is so key, and I'm always sharing time and time again in practice, is that this is an attempt to keep you safe. And when you can understand that, you're in a position where you can learn other healthier ways to keep yourself safe that will feel good, that will add to your happiness, support you to feel content in your life, to get out of your head and into the present. What's interesting is the more that we overthink, the more we analyze and rehearse, the more uncertain we actually become. Rather than helping us move forward, overthinking so often leaves us feeling stuck, disconnected from the present moment, and increasingly doubtful of ourselves or the situation. The more that we overthink, the more self-doubt increases. I think that is so interesting. That is such powerful knowledge, and it is a key indication that it's really important if we want to trust ourselves more, if we want to feel happier, if we want to take more risks and live the life that lights us up, then we need to know how to work with our minds, with our thoughts, with our wounds, so that we can ultimately reduce our overthinking. I'm going to share some reasons that we overthink. From an evolutionary perspective, our brains were designed to detect danger. For thousands of years, individuals who noticed potential threats before anyone else were more likely to survive. Although, yes, our environment, it has changed dramatically. Our nervous system, they operate using the same principles as before. Now, today, the threats are less likely to involve predators and more likely to involve rejection, failure, embarrassment, uncertainty, and loss. However, our brains often react to these psychological threats as though they are just as dangerous. We overthink because some of our overthinking is learned behavior. And I don't mean that you were taught this directly, but it's because we witnessed it. Growing up, you may have watched parents, caregivers, other adults that really had an influence on you. If you witness them constantly worrying, second guessing themselves, or expecting the worst, over time, we can begin to adopt this as our own way of thinking. When overthinking is modeled repeatedly, if you had a parent worrying or ruminating, it becomes less of a choice and more of a pattern within us. What I've seen in practice over and over again, and I hope this encourages you, is the way that these patterns were learned through observation. They can also be changed through awareness, practice, and exposure to healthier ways of thinking, perhaps ways that it would have been amazing if we were taught and we had witnessed. Many of us overthink because of the past. If you grew up experiencing criticism, rejection, unpredictability, pain, then your mind, your nervous system, it learns to stay on high alert. It learns to look out for danger. It learns to think about things and focus on those threats and try and understand exactly what is happening. You're analyzing every decision or imagining every worst case scenario because at one point, being extra cautious in that way was a protective thing for you. It was what you needed at that time. The issue is in adulthood, it's not what you need, and you know it's not helping you. It's not helping your relationships. It's not helping how you're showing up at work. And again, it comes back to that idea of recognizing and understanding the importance of compassion. When overthinking is related to our past wounds, it's so healing when we can meet ourselves with that kind of understanding. Now, if you follow my work or know me as a therapist, you know I would not miss this one out. Some of us overthink because a deep core belief or an old wound has been activated. Core beliefs are the deeply held ideas and assumptions that we have about ourselves or other people or about the world. And again, shaped by our early experiences, very much related to our past, what I was just talking about. If you are someone who carries a belief like I'm not good enough, or everybody leaves, I'll be rejected, I have to be perfect in order to be loved. If you're someone who holds beliefs like that, situations that trigger those beliefs or, really make you feel not good enough or leave you questioning whether you're going to be rejected, overthinking is the result. So if you're in an uncertain or an ambiguous situation, or you feel like you failed at something, in some way you're not feeling good enough, the overthinking will sort of dial up. That will become quite extreme in those moments because those old wounds, those old beliefs, they are activated in that moment. A key part of therapy is often this. In reality, overthinking is often less about the present situation that's in front of you, the person, the fear, and it's more about an old wound that is being sort of activated, that's being stirred. Recognizing this is going to help you. It's going to help you to know, what is it that I actually need in this moment? The old me has been chasing, trying to fix, trying to understand, trying to think. The new me is saying, how do I support this wound? How do I support this old belief? How do I reframe it and change it? And when it comes to stopping overthinking, that is key. That is absolutely key. Now, another reason we overthink, and especially worry, when we look at the research of worry, understanding worry, and changing the pattern of worry, time and time again, we come back to the role of uncertainty. When uncertainty appears in your life, the brain naturally begins searching for answers, searching for certainty, wanting to create certainty. This is why when you're in relationships where they are ambiguous, or you don't know where you stand, or you feel like you're in limbo in some way at work or in your life, that is why you begin overthinking. Now, pair that with it activating a wound, and it can be really deep, the effect. It can be really hard to break out of that overthinking if you don't know that all of this is what's going on. As soon as you're in that moment of uncertainty, you start internally asking yourself the questions: what if I make the wrong decision? What if this goes wrong? What if they don't like me? What if I've upset them? Now, I'm really not exaggerating when I say Most overthinkers that I'm working with directly will tell me that they dislike uncertainty. So you can ask yourself now, how do you feel about situations that are unknown or ambiguous and uncertain? If you're feeling like, they are not for me, I really dislike them, the higher that intensity is, probably the more you overthink and worry when you're in an uncertain situation. The reason I say that is because most people don't love uncertainty, but people can tolerate it and cope. Overthinkers often feel like they can't tolerate it and they can't cope with the uncertainty and they need answers. And because there are so many situations in life where we don't have the answers yet or they are ambiguous, guess what we'll do? We'll overthink. So uncertainty is a core reason why you find yourself overthinking. No amount of thinking can guarantee that a relationship will last, that you will never make a mistake, or that others are always going to like you. Yet that anxious part continues searching for reassurance, continues trying to seek that certainty and wanting answers right now. Uncertainty and that sense of urgency often go hand in hand. And if you're someone who worries and overthinks, you know exactly what I mean. The paradox is that this search for certainty, it increases uncertainty. Every answer generates another question. Every reassurance provides only temporary relief before the anxiety returns. When people come into therapy working with me, they're some of the key reasons that I see. Now, also, that is backed up by psychology. So this is not just me making it up. I have over 15 years experience working in mental health, and I'm not just throwing this out there on this podcast. This is not a replacement for therapy, but this is information that I feel like, wow, if I had known this back when I was deep in my overthinking, deep in my worry and my anxious attachment, if I had known what was actually going on internally, perhaps I wouldn't have lost so many hours in my head chasing the wrong people, chasing the wrong ideas, chasing the wrong information, and often doing things that kept me feeling worried or worse about myself and regretful and just, bad about myself, if I'm really honest with you. And I know you guys are here, people that are working with me, listening to this podcast, not necessarily working, but just being here, soaking up this information that I'm sharing. I know that for many of you, you are at the point where you're asking yourself, why is it that I'm still overthinking when I know so much information? It becomes really frustrating, and I'm talking from experience and from how often I hear this. I know how frustrating it is when you recognize that your worries are irrational or that you are obsessing over someone that isn't even treating you that well, yet you continue the overthinking, you continue to fall into the pattern. You might even be saying, I know I'm overreacting. I know this probably won't happen. But despite recognizing intellectually that you're overthinking, your anxiety often remains intense. For me, this really highlights an important principle in psychology. Thoughts and emotions do not always operate according to the same rules. While your logical mind may understand that you're safe, if your emotional brain is concerned with survival, rejection, being left, or failing, it is going to be a primary task to identify possible threats and to feel okay and to feel good enough and to feel wanted and to feel loved. And so, what you will do is you will move towards that. You will move towards trying to get those needs met, even though, as far as I'm concerned, you're already loved, you're already enough, you're already wanted, you already belong. But if somewhere inside there is a wound or a part of you that doesn't believe that, doesn't feel that, then in these moments where you're overthinking, that can be deeply, deeply activated. I know the next question is, what do I do? Okay, I know now why I'm overthinking. I recognize myself in some of this or all of this. And that, whilst powerful, I want to know the what I do. I want to know how I get out of this. And I hear that. And I will be back here with that information as well. I will be providing that to you as well. Today, this is about understanding the why, having the compassion for yourself, understanding your deeper wounds a bit more and your patterns and overthinking. And let that be enough. Let that sit with you. You're not only doing the work, you're not only an overthinker, you're so much more than that. You have a present moment, you have a life to live, you have people to enjoy, you have dreams to follow. And so, yes, whilst you're doing this work and you want the how and you want to know how to stop, part of that is for you to pause and re-engage in your life. I will be back here with the what else do I do? And to be honest with you, you can scroll through my whole podcast. There are over 200 episodes. There is so much information on what to do and how to help yourself as well. So of course, feel free to have a look through that if you really are determined right now to continue on this path today. As always, thank you for listening to Lessons in Overthinking and Obsessing, and I will be back here very soon.